Hi, the purpose of this video is to inform certain businesses, particularly small businesses, of the new requirement to report their beneficial owner to the Department of Treasury. In 2021, US Congress passed the Corporate Transparency Act. The law requires reporting of beneficial owners to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. So, what is FinCEN exactly? It is a bureau of the Department of Treasury and they safeguard the financial system. So many state registered businesses need to report this information or potentially face large fines, which is, as of today, which is February 2024, is $500 per day and up to a total of $10,000. So you want to make sure you get that done. It is free to file yourself. And during this video, I will walk you through all the steps needed to file this requirement on your own, step by step, and just want to point out that there are companies that will do this for a fee. That's an option as well. But for those who would prefer to do this by themselves or for themselves, but are a little bit confused, I'll walk you through the process. I've done a few myself, so just want to, share what I've learned. So I just want to reiterate that this content is not intended to provide any personalized tax, legal, or other professional advice. It's for general knowledge. Please do consult with a professional regarding your personal circumstances. Who am I exactly? I am an enrolled agent. This is the highest credential awarded by the IRS. I do tax preparation for individuals, students, gig workers, and potentially, very small businesses just starting out. Lots of small businesses starting out, not really sure, about their tax situations. Those are the clients I like to help. I like to educate. I like to inform people, because I do know that it's a tough, challenging world out there, and we have to help each other. If you follow and like my page at facebook.com/blue onyx tax, I'll post more content like this that will help you in your small business endeavor or even as an individual. The timeline for this requirement is as follows. If you established your business prior to January 1st, 2024, you have until the end of 2024 to make this to do this filing. So you have until December 31st, 2024. If you registered your business after January 1st, 2024, but before January 1st, 2025, you have 90 calendar days after the effective date of the business registration to make this filing. If you are registering your business on or after January 1st, 2025, you have 30 calendar days after the effective date of the business registration to make this filing. So keep these dates in mind. Considering that it's February 2024 right now, this will mostly apply to existing businesses and whichever businesses were started as of like January 2024. So businesses that are excluded are businesses that were not registered with the state. For instance, sole proprietors that were not created by registering with your state. For instance, if you're doing business under your own name, or certain general partnerships. There are also a lot of exempted companies. I noticed based on this list, a lot of general small businesses out there will need to do this filing. A lot of the companies that are on here are companies that are already regulated under another federal type um, you know, type of regulation. For instance, like the SEC regulates a lot of financial companies. So if you notice on here, exempted companies are banks, credit unions, public utility companies, broker or dealer in securities, insurance companies, venture capital fund advisor, state licensed insurance producers. If none of these businesses make sense to you, that means you likely need to do this filing. And these are just companies that are already very heavily regulated. So that's the reason why they are exempted from this requirement. So, what are some things you need to gather before you do this filing? So you will need, well, you don't need, if you have a FinCEN ID already for each beneficial owner or for your reporting company, you will need to gather that information. If this is the very first time you're attempting anything related to FinCEN filing, you may not have a FinCEN ID. You can apply for a FinCEN ID for an individual, and you can also apply for FinCEN ID for your company. So what that does is that already like puts your information on file with the FinCEN department. So the next time you need to do an update, you don't have to keep putting in your information over and over again. So you don't. It's optional to get a FinCEN ID, but it's very helpful. You also need to gather electronic copies of your IDs for each company applicant and beneficial owner. And I'll explain a little bit about the differences. The company applicant is the person who filed, who actually went in and did file the paperwork for the company. Beneficial owners are owners who has who are controlling powers, controlling individual. They own the company, at least 25% of the company, or they have significant control requirement, controlling influence, let's call it that. For instance, CEOs, CFOs, for your business. So I'll explain a little bit more as we go through the process. So, as regarding your IDs that are needed are like state issued driver's license, U.S. or foreign passport, or state or local tribe issued ID. So the first thing you would need to do in order to do this filing is to go to bio boiefiling.fincen.gov, or if you actually just go on Google and type like FinCEN BOI filing, you should actually get to this site. Just be careful of not going to like a scam site or anything like that. You always something to be careful for when you're searching Google for anything. Be careful the links that you click in. You notice that this link ends with .gov. That means it's a government site. Once you go here, you should come to a page that looks like this. Okay. You want to click on here to get started. It's basically telling you what you should do. Do you want to do a beneficial ownership information reporting? Then yes, you click here to get started. If you click here, it brings you to the same place, which is file BOIR, which is short for beneficial ownership information reporting. Okay. Once you do that, again, there are two options to do it. You can actually fill out a PDF on your computer at your own pace, save as you go, and then upload later, or you can file online directly. I'm going to take you through the file online directly option right here in this video. The PDF one, that's something you could try on your own, if you have the required software, which is Adobe Reader. Once you do that, you'll get the standard warning sign that you are entering a U.S. government information system. And just to let you know what next, what's happening, then you would click agree. Okay. So once you're here, just notice that these tabs at the top are basically telling you where you are in the form. So right here, you're in the filing information area. And what you would do if you've never done this before is you're going to click on initial report. Okay. If this is the first time, it's an initial report. There are options that you can click if you're updating this, if you're correcting something that you did in a previous filing. So here's where you can actually request to receive a FinCEN ID of the reporting company. So this is the company specific FinCEN ID. If you click that at the end of the filing, it will generate a unique FinCEN ID for you. Okay, once you do that, and again, this is optional. You don't have to do that, but if you do that, it helps for later, if you have to make any changes later on. So then you would put your reporting company legal name. So whatever name you register the company as, make sure you write it exactly as it is on your document, your filing documents. And if you have any like alternate trade names, for instance, you file a DBA with your city, you would put that here. Some companies they file, like one main business formation with their state, but for marketing purposes, they file doing business as with their town. If you have never done that for your business, then you don't need an alternate name. But if so, then you add it here. And since you can add multiple DBA names, that's why you can add alternate names here, and it will bring up additional choices for you. The next thing you would need to do is to select your tax identification type. That's going to be where you would select like your EIN number, right? And then once you do that, you would actually include your tax identification number there. So for here, you will put, once you go in and you file EIN number with the IRS, you would have that number. You would put that here as a type of ID, and then you would type the number in. You would select your country or wherever this your country was formed. Even though this is a U.S. system, this does apply to companies that does business in the United States. So if you're formed outside of the United States but you do business in the United States, you would still need to do this. Hence the reason why there's a country here. I'm guessing for most of you, it's going to be the United States. And then you would need to put in your business information here. Remember, as you can see, we're on reporting company. So everything here is specific to the company. So this is your business address, goes right here in this information, in this bottom part here. Okay, so if you are an existing company, that is, you were in existence before January 1st, 2024, you would need to click this box at 16. The reason why, if you're an existing reporting company, they do not collect your company applicant information from you, so then they will hide this section. If your business was registered like January 2024 and after, then you will need to click this box. Okay. Then it will ask you for the company applicant information. The person who actually did the filing, that's the applicant name. Remember, I said that it's possible to get a FinCEN ID for an individual. That's where you would put this here. So if you had went in and applied for a FinCEN ID, like outside of this process, then you would put this number in. If you have no idea what that is, then just leave it blank. And then you would put in the legal name and date of birth of the person right here. And just so a lot of small businesses, the person the beneficial owner is also the name of the person who applied for their business. So it would be the same name. Okay, so once you do that, then just note that you're still on company applicant. What you would need to do is you would need to select residential address right here. Okay. And then um, once you do that, you would put your actual residence information in the boxes below. Not your business address. This is your resident. This is your resident address. This is. I know. It's not the FinCEN information that you submit is private. So it's not going to be in a searchable database. So I know a lot of people with businesses, do not want their residential address to be affiliated with their businesses, for privacy and, the security of your family. But this is not a system that's going to be made public. So you can, in fact, you can and should put your residential address here. Okay, once you do that, this is where you would select the ID that you're choosing. The options are, driver's license, state issued ID, a passport. and then you would put the identifying document number here. So it would be your passport number or your driver's license number, or your state ID number, and then the jurisdiction of where the document is from. So if it's a foreign passport, then that country would go here, or if it's a U.S. passport, then the U.S. would go here, and then the state would go here, and if it's a tribe ID, then that will be here. Okay, and then once you do that, you will need to upload a image of that ID using this browse item here. So you will have, like a scanned copy of your ID or your passport. You will put that on your computer, and then you will upload that here. And there's something I found out as I was doing this. So when I did this for my business, I am the company applicant as well as the beneficial owner. So it's just me. I only have one ID. But when I tried to upload the same file in the beneficial owner screen, it gave me an error because it was the same file name. So what I did was I made two copies of the file name. Like I created one with my ID, and then I created the same one and just put like underscore copy. So I have two complete different file names, even though it's the same exact ID. So that's just something I learned as I was going through this process. So the next thing is to fill out the beneficial owners. Again, if you're just the single owner of your company, if you registered your own company, if you're the only owner, you're the only controlling person, then the information will be repeated because you have both roles. You're also the company applicant and you're also the beneficial owner. If you have additional owners, or you're not the person who actually did the registration for you, then clearly this is going to be a different like a different ID, different information, etc. So this is where you would list all the beneficial owners, and just keep in mind that if one of the owners is a minor, you would need to check this box. And if the beneficial owner, which is that actual person, has a FinCEN ID, then it would put the FinCEN ID here, and that will hide a lot of the fields for you where you would need to upload more information about yourself, because that information is already tied to your FinCEN ID. Okay, so it's not a bad idea to get a FinCEN ID for yourself, because you might have to come in here and make updates from time to time, and then you wouldn't need to, the process will be a lot simpler if you already have this ID. If you're an exempt entity, then you would need to click that, and I'm not sure what it does after you do that. It might just hide a lot of fields that are not applicable for you. But if you have multiple beneficial owners, you just keep adding them and adding the information. Just make sure you have all the IDs for each beneficial owners before you start this process. Okay, so let me go back here real quick. All right, yep. So this is where you would enter the information for the beneficial owner. Keep in mind that this is the last name first and the first name last, which is sort of backwards. So, if you're doing this, you're in a hurry or you're tired, make sure you enter your last name and then your first name, okay? And then your date of birth. For standard practice, I always try to, put in my middle name, if you have one, for things like this, just to differentiate you from somebody else out there. And then again, your residential address here. Same thing. This is where you would select your ID type, whether it's a license or passport, etc. The identifying document number, the jurisdiction of the ID, and here's where you would add that document image again. This is where I said if you use the same image before, the thing might throw some kind of error up. And when I did it, the error was not exactly clear. So I just wanted to, and they're working to improve the system. So by the time you are doing this, that may not be a problem. But I just wanted to point out that was something I encountered, and just to, take note. Once you do that, you put in your email address to get some confirmation that you file this report. You click this agree button, and then you check the usual captcha to certify that you're not a bot, and then you hit submit. Once you hit submit and that goes through, it will throw up a confirmation here that your filing was successful. I've hidden my information for privacy, but if you had selected that button earlier that says you want to apply for FinCEN ID, then that FinCEN ID will be shown here. Also, it's recommended to download in the transcript that has the information that you actually filled out here. You may want to review that just to make sure you didn't make any errors. If you did make some errors, then you can go back into the system and update it using the same process. Just make sure you put the correct information in the next time. Once you do that, this is a copy of what that transcript looked like. It's a PDF file. This is just the first page. It has several pages. So just make sure you file that and save that in a safe place. You want to make sure you have that as proof because there is a fine for not complying. All right, so what's next? Again, save your transcript, save your FinCEN ID in a safe place if you got one, and just make sure this is very, very important. After you do the initial filing, you don't really need to do it again unless there's a change, okay? So when there's a change, if you're registering a new business name, remember how I we talked about, doing business as that's something you can register with your city. If like say your business got another DBA name or something like that, you want to make sure you come here and update that within 30 days of that change. If there's any change in beneficial owner, like you have a new CEO, or anyone that owns more than 25% of the business, that needs to be updated as well. If there's any change to these are the most common scenarios, and this is the thing that will probably get people, because you go about your business, you change your name, or your address, or you get a new ID, you don't remember that you need to do this. So just keep in mind that whenever there's any change in owner's name, address, or your ID number, you get a new ID, you get a new passport, it gets a new number, you need to go in there and change it. Okay. If you receive a new ID and any information on the ID that you use has been changed as well, for instance, if the old ID that you use had a different address and you got a new ID with a new address on there, you want to make sure you come in and update it. This is one reason I highly recommend getting a FinCEN ID, so that once you have that FinCEN ID, you can go in, put your ID in, and it will hide a lot of the information for you, and you won't have to upload a lot of that again. So it makes it a lot simpler to go in and quickly update the FinCEN database with anything new. So again, my name is Nicola. I own and operate Blue Onyx Tax. Feel free to visit my website. I am going to be posting content there more and more. I hope this was helpful for you. I just wanted to, I personally don't do this on behalf of businesses. However, I just wanted to do this to communicate out because so many businesses were unaware of this requirement. I provide tax preparation services, particularly for students, individuals, and very small businesses that are just starting out and needing someone to help them with their taxes. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in a different video.